Determination's the only thing keeping me going at this point with this car. So, our 06 STI problem child, it gets better. Yeah, I wouldn't say this car is necessarily a super clapper anymore, but if you've been watching the series on this thing, you'll know that this car was once the most clapper of STIs that you have probably seen, and we are here to fix that. Now, fixing this car has not just been, oh, let's put a new motor in it and go. No, it's been like replace everything, which does kind of suck, but at least at the end of the day, once it's all done, we'll know we have a car that will perform and do exactly what we need it to. So we're gonna be continuing that process, getting our fuel system done on the 06 STI, getting fuel pressure tested, make sure that there are no leaks, get our boost controller wired up, we can probably get some AOS lines knocked out, and start to get this thing, for the most part, pretty much wrapped up. I'm still waiting on some parts. I think I put in the last part order 2 days ago, which was for the new power steering pump, the new starter, a whole bunch of little engine bits, but slowly but surely, this thing is coming along. Did a couple things off camera, radiator hoses in, radiators in, timing covers are on, AVCS internal covers are on the cam gears, AVCS plates are on the solenoid covers up here, so a whole bunch of little stuff has been kind of wrapped up. I did get the wheel issue figured out. For those that saw that in the last video, we did have an issue with our rear wheels hitting our coilovers. There is supposed to be a camber bolt in the top hole of the coilover. This car did not come with any. Surprise, surprise, this thing has been pretty clapped out. It's been missing a lot of parts. So I now have the camber bolts in there. I was able to pull all the camber out. We have clearance between the wheel and the coilover now. It's still a little bit difficult to rotate, so I'm assuming we have an e-brake issue or a brake issue that's kind of locking up the rear wheels a little bit, but that is a problem for later. The first thing on our agenda is going to be building our fuel system. We're going to be using an Aeromotive A1000 mechanical gauge because I don't care to wire in a digital sensor. We've got a handful of fittings here. This should, for the most part, be everything we need. 490s, 245s, 2 straights, 2 6 ORB, 2 6 AN, 2 6 ORB plugs. I got these, but they were the wrong size. These are the 3/8. I think I needed the 5/8, the ones that are slightly smaller. I've talked about series and parallel fuel systems a good amount in the past. Series is where it does not Y off and the fuel system just kind of carries through. Typically, you'll be fine using that for a car that's not going to be making a ton of power. If you're shooting for a powerhouse, it's obviously much more ideal to have that as a parallel system, so that way all of the injectors get the exact same amount of fuel. But for what we're going to be doing and how much power we're going to be making, it's really not necessary. It's easier to build a series, it takes less fittings, it's cheaper, and you can make it look a little bit cleaner in my opinion. Now, because we are running this as a series, we're only going to be using one of the ports on the regulator as a return, because we're only going to have one return line. I've seen some people try to build these Subaru fuel systems with no return lines. I would not advise that, but at least do a single return. If you're gonna build a fuel system, at minimum, run it in series so there's a single return off of it. Now we've got our regulator with its fittings all going around it, the gauge, so that way we can actually read fuel pressure.
You need to be able to see fuel pressure to set your fuel pressure. Because if you don't set your fuel pressure, your whole tune's gonna be wrong. Because your fuel pressure won't be right.
You also can't make any of your fuel lines unless you know where you're mounting your fuel pressure regulator. So it's kind of important to know where you're gonna mount it. This AC line is really fucking annoying though. Look at that guy chilling right there. So now that we got our fuel pressure regulator in, we gotta start doing the fuel lines. So we're gonna have one that connects the front of the fuel rails together. This line is going to go to the side of the fuel pressure regulator right there. The one on the bottom is going to go up here to this yellow one, and then that black one is going to go over here. So let's start out easy. Let's go from fuel rail to fuel rail and just kind of get that one out of the way. Never tried before. I always take the tape off. Try keeping it on this time. I don't think it'll make that big of a difference, to be honest. Okay, these fittings are reverse threads, so they can kind of be a pain in the butt to get on sometimes. I like to use the table. It's kind of, sometimes you can wiggle them and tap them in, but we want that line to be seated up against this fitting on the inside, like that. Lube up the threads. If you don't lube up the threads, you can mar up the threads. And if you mar up the threads, you're in for a bad time. And a lot of people yell at me too, because I'm not going to use an aluminum wrench on this. I'm going to use a nice chromy steel one. The way I like to do this, are you chill right there? I like to put it on the fuel rail first, so that way I kind of know the length of the hose that I got to cut here. I'll try to run this in the route that it's going to go. I got to remember the power steering pump's going to go right here too, so I got to make sure I got enough slack for the power steering pump to go in and everything else. Probably have it go underneath that. Give me that fitting, because I'm gonna need that. Ooh, I may have bought a little bit too much line, but it never hurts to have a little bit extra. There's one fuel line done. So this guy can come under here, thread on. Look at that, it's not too bad to build fuel lines. A lot of excess hose to be messing with right now, because I have to route this how I want this hose to route. So I'll have it go underneath the heater core lines, obviously underneath of the bypass valve hose and the water hose and all this other stuff here. Then I need it to poke out in between, right down here underneath the turbo inlet. I like to try to kind of angle the fitting in the direction that I want it to go. So on this one, I want it to angle down like that. And then we're gonna need our tape again. And the feed is black, so I wanna make sure that there's enough slack down here so that way this hose isn't being pulled on or anything like that. And that'll be cut there. I can feed this back into the direction that it was going before. It's always fun trying to funnel this stuff through when it doesn't always want to. Oh, come on. There it is. Doo baka doo, shoobity doobity ba, shoo doo doo boo. Since we now have all of our fuel lines made, we should be able to hook up the battery here real quick. And oh, it's already going, look at that. Hey, fans work too, headlights are on for some reason. Don't know why the headlights are on, but it's probably because it's in like some weird mode right now, because the engine harness and all this other shit's disconnected. But that's okay. I'm gonna cycle this a few times so we can get some fuel pressure built. $53,000 miles. Okay, that should be enough cycling to get fuel pressure at least somewhat going. How are we looking? We're holding at about 40 PSI. I don't see any leaks. I don't smell any leaks. So I think it's safe to say we have our fuel pressure, which is sweet. That's good. I'm actually gonna get this battery back out of here. So fuel pressure is taken care of. That's nice. I have to replace this battery terminal too because that's broken. I don't understand how they broke fucking everything they touched in this car. Look at this. The battery terminal is literally snapped. I don't know what they did to this poor thing. They did something to it, but I don't know what. This is Mark from Company 23, everybody.
Oh, snap.
Oh,
You're like filming me in my truck.
dude, it's POV. We got our fuel lines all done in here. We've got our feed coming off the black line there, going down to our passenger side fuel rail, feeding the back of it, coming up to the front. This fuel rail then transfers to the front of this fuel rail, feeding it. And then it goes into our return, up to our regulator, and then the regulator back up to the fuel line. So now we've got our fuel system done. I do want to jump to the back wheels though to try to get those. I want to try to get those to rotate and spin because right now this car won't move. It's not going to go anywhere. So now that we got the fuel lines done, we need to figure out what the hell's going on here. If you guys look, the e-brake is not up. I cannot spin these rear wheels. I should be able to come up just like this one hand, and be able to spin that. I don't know if the e-brake's getting caught up. I don't know if we have bad wheel bearings. It doesn't feel like a bad wheel bearing, to be honest. I mean, that wouldn't stop it though. I mean, it could probably use wheel bearings, but it's not something that's like, oh, it's stopping the wheel from spinning, you know what I mean? So we're gonna disassemble that rear section back here and see what the hell's going on. I have the e-brake down. There's no reason in my mind I could see why I'm like, okay, this is not allowing the wheel to spin. I think we take the caliper off, take the rotor off, and we take a look. There is an adjuster screw behind the rotor on the back side of the shield that allows you to be able to access the star screw to adjust the e-brake, but to be honest, I don't know exactly how well that's going to fare for us. Should be a bracket. There is, it's right there. Oh yeah, dude, I think it is the e-brake because that is like locked up. I can't even get this hub off. So I'm pretty sure the e-brakes need adjusted. Guy and that guy. Let's scoot that guy out of the way. Yeah, these rotors are like stuck on there, dude. But then if we do e-brakes, we might as well do the backing shield. We might as well redo the wheel bearing. Yeah, see, like this one's also all the way back out. These e-brakes have a little bit more life left in them. I think I'm going out. I need to go in. Yeah, I am. I was going out. I need to go in. So I want to toss a lug nut, one on each side, so that way I can tighten the e-brake and the shoes accordingly. So this actually, that's a 17. So it actually sets the e-brake in a way where we can actually use it. But I was like, there's no way, man. I drove the car in here. See, look, now that it's locked on though, I can't rotate this now. What in the hell is going on? What about on this side? Now I can't spin it. What is going on right now? As soon as I put the rotor on, as soon as I tighten the rotor to this, so this is fun. No matter what I do here, this e-brake assembly keeps locking up. So if I put the rotor on, I push it all the way in, I grab a lug nut if I can find two, 1, 2. Right now the e-brake in the car is down. Okay, so keep that in mind. E-brake is down. Right now, look, I can spin this. I can rotate it and it's just fine. The moment that I tighten this down, whole rear assembly locks up. I just don't know what. Like I can put the rotor on like this, tighten it down, and it's totally fine. Cause yeah, see, now I can spin it freely. We're gonna ditch the e-brake components and try this again. Regardless, the e-brake needs to be replaced. So, I mean, if it still locks up after doing this, then obviously there's something else that is the issue here. gas light. Oh, there goes the star bolt. I would like that back. In order for me to replace the backing plate, I have to undo these 4 screws that are back behind this. But to do that, I have to take out the whole hub assembly and replace the wheel bearing. So, well, I have to take this out. So if I'm taking that out to replace this hub, might as well do the wheel bearing also, which that's going to be a pain in the ass because I have to undo the Jesus bolt up here, which I'll probably let that soak in PB Blaster for like 2 weeks in advance because that's not a fun bolt to have to get out. Let's see if it'll at least spin now. If it doesn't, then we know it's not an e-brake issue. It's probably a backing plate issue or something else. So, bet you it'll spin. Or it won't. What? What? Is this a backing plate problem? What? Is it a wheel bearing problem? What is going on? My boy Swa came over with a fancy paint trick. He painted this backing area. I didn't even think of it as genius. It's genius. Paint it and then put the rotor on and see where the paint's removed. Paint was removed all up in here, all around the top lip, all down here. As you guys can see, this is actually rotting out. This piece of the backing plate is actually pushing away from this piece. I'm assuming rust is just getting back behind there and forcing this forward. So I'm assuming that the issue we're having is the rotor is contacting this, not spinning, but it's not just this. A ton of people messaged me and said that they had a similar issue with these rotors where this backing piece for the e-brake shoe assembly was not machined down far enough. These are DBA rotors. I haven't had an issue with them before, but apparently other people have. And you got to keep in mind, I had these rotors on the RS at one point, so I didn't foresee the rotor being the problem because these work just fine on the RS. But we'll go ahead, we'll either take a grinder to this and grind this down, or I'll take it to a machine shop and have them take off a decent bit of it, so that way everything works properly. But until then, looks like we're still trapped on the lift, which is not what I wanted. Okay, so I've got new rear wheel bearings ordered because in order to get to the rear backing plate, we have to take off the spindle or the hub that the actual wheel bolts to. And when you take that off, if you try to take it off and keep the wheel bearing intact, normally the wheel bearing gets damaged. So we're gonna replace the rear wheel bearings to replace the rear backing plate that's separating from itself. We're gonna machine down the rotors a little bit. I'll take them to the machine shop, or I'll just grab an angle grinder and just zap them down myself. It's annoying. I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting fairly annoyed with this car. This was not supposed to take as long as it is, and I have other cars that I need to work on that are not my own. So we're gonna put the brake stuff aside for right now, jump up to the engine bay, start doing our AOS lines and anything else we can knock out in the engine bay to get a head start on everything that we gotta get done. AOS is done for about as much as I can do. We've got our drain line going under the car, coolant line. I got this coolant line cut and measured. We've got one breather hose over here going to that head. It wraps under the turbo inlet, wraps up and around. We've got the drain line there. I need a 5/8 90 to be able to do this breather off of the central portion of the block, and I need the engine harness in to be able to do this side, but I'm waiting on the water pipe tube and the PCV tube that goes under the manifold. Once that's in, the manifold can go on permanently, but it's little parts that I'm waiting for this thing. So I think what I'm gonna start doing is working on the base map. So that way, once we get the last of our parts in, we can just get this thing back together, get the base map loaded on here, drive it out of here, start doing some tuning, and then get some of these other cars pulled in that I have to get knocked out. It's just, this is taking a lot longer because there's just more and more and more wrong that I keep finding with it, and it's not stuff that I can just be like, oh, okay, well, I'll just do it later. It's like I have to do this now to be able to get this even working. So it kind of sucks, but I mean, like I said in a couple of videos ago, this is the worst example of an STI I've ever bought. It's probably the worst one I've ever, it's the second worst one I've actually ever seen. I've seen one that's worse, and that was just due to rot and rust going throughout the entire car. This one's bad. It should have been a part out car, to be completely honest. If I would have known the extent of all the issues with the car, probably wouldn't have bought it, probably would have bought a different one, but until you really start tearing them apart and you really start digging into them, you're not gonna find every little issue, which it'd be like that. I mean, even with looking at Subarus, you get a surface level when you go and buy a car. If you don't have a lift, if you don't have anything like that, everything that you see is gonna be very surface level, and you don't know the extent of like, oh my gosh, like this is messed up, now that's messed up, this is messed up, that's messed up. I thought it was just an engine in this car and maybe a little bit of body work here and there, but that is so far from the truth. I've done everything that I can do for the time being. I cleaned up the AC condenser because the amount of corrosion on it was just bothering me. So once that water pipe comes in, the intake manifold can go on permanently, the engine harness can go in. We can start doing some more of the vacuum lines. I just have to go pick up some vacuum line. The rear wheel bearings, the rear dust shields, and all that stuff has been ordered also. So as soon as that all comes in, we can start getting this stuff knocked out. I'm hoping that either it's going to be in stock or it's going to ship relatively quickly. Sometimes on the OEM stuff, it does take a little while. So fingers crossed that this stuff shows up relatively fast. But like I said, with that, that's all I got for you guys on this one. If you're enjoying the 06 STI, go ahead and hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver sign, whatever color turns for you. And if you're not subscribed to the channel and you want to be, which when we go to build the base tune for this, I'm going to be doing that on an upcoming live stream. So if you want to jump in on that, definitely subscribe. It should let you know, I think. I don't entirely know, but we'll build the base map on live stream. You guys can see what goes into it all, but I am out of here. So I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies. Woo!